Welcome into another episode of Tailgate Talk SEC. I am Will Thomas. Got another transfer portal update episode today. So let me tell you something. I woke up this morning and there were a lot of new names in the portal. And there were a lot of headlines. So combining that with some updates we have from some of the biggest quarterbacks who are in the portal, we'll get to all of that today. Just another quick hitting video for you guys updating things about the transfer portal that can be very hard to keep up with. So let's just start off with some of the new names in the portal this morning. Bo Pribula, Missouri's quarterback, has announced that he is going into the transfer portal and he will not be playing in Missouri's bowl game. My first thought here, first of all, was incredibly impressed with Pribula this season. I did not love the move for Missouri over the summer. I thought Pribula was just meh. I thought Missouri was going to be just meh. And obviously a lot of their success goes to the credit of their running backs and Ahmad Hardy. But Pribula played really well. He had a really good year. I think all he did was really boost up his stock this past season. And if I'm him, I'm calling my former coach, James Franklin, and asking him if he needs somebody to come quarterback the Hokies next year. Because there'll be some juice in that program. Pribula obviously knows Franklin. That relationship is still good. It wasn't split in the transfer last season away from Penn State. So I like Pribula maybe going to Virginia Tech, but I think that whichever school gets him is going to benefit a good bit. Second one, Malik Blockton out of Auburn, defensive lineman. This guy's a dog. This guy's incredibly good. He was a big one to retain for Alex Golish, and I expect him to really stay in the SEC. Now, I mean, Auburn had a bunch of guys really in that front seven who profile as really good athletes. None of them really played awesome this year. I think it's a product of just the team not being very good. I don't believe that they're all just not great players. I think they are all great players, so I think Blockton will go somewhere else, probably still in the SEC, and really be able to produce a good bit. And then Carius Kern, he didn't go in there this morning, but he was pretty recently. He is an LSU offensive lineman. He was a true freshman this past season. He's a great talent too. And it seems like given what we know about these schools who are already reaching out to him, he'll also be a guy staying in the SEC. So expect Kern on another great offensive line coming in next year. Florida keeps having a bit of an exodus here. Hayden Hanson, their tight ends in the portal. Jameer Grimsley at corner, he's gone. Tate Hawkins at receiver, he's gone. So Florida, you're really seeing them as the school right now that's having a bunch of this turnover. And when I'm thinking about that, like I'm really just looking at the culture shift that it seems like we're getting in Gainesville from Billy Napier to John Summerall. It feels like, Napier was kind of cushy. Feels like he was being very nice to the players and he was kind of letting them do what they wanted to do. That's not how Summerall's going to operate. Right when the story came out about Lagway transferring from Florida, that's kind of what we saw. Like Summerall was challenging him competitively with his work ethic, and Lagway didn't want it. So he left. I think that's what you're seeing. I think you're seeing a massive culture change in Gainesville, which is really scaring off a lot of the guys who were there. Now, it sucks to see all these players leaving, but you have to kind of zoom out if you're a Florida fan and realize, these players, if they were so great, we won 4 games last year. And if these players are afraid to be challenged, they're afraid to be pushed and coached hard, they're not going to win championships. Football is not a nice guy's sport. It helps to be, you have to be a good person, obviously, but if you're just like a nice dude who always wants to make sure that everybody's happy and everyone's having a good day, you're never even going to win 9 games. Football's really not a nice guy's sport. You got to have some screws loose. You have to really not be afraid to rip into people if you want to win championships. That feels like what Summerall is, and that's kind of why we're seeing some Florida players leave. But the biggest one, arguably the biggest Florida player, is Jaden Ball. There's been a ton of buzz. He is not currently in the portal. Just let me make that very clear before we even talk about this. He is not currently in the portal. But Texas is the school making the push. They're offering him a ton of money. They hired Jabbar Jalouk, who was Florida's running backs coach, recruited Ball, has a great relationship with Jaden Ball, to Austin. Pete Thamel says it's 50-50 right now. Pete Thamel saying it's a coin toss where Jaden Ball does. I'd imagine the money is going to be similar enough. In my head, I think I'd probably say Texas probably lobs a few more dollars his way, but I do think that the difference will be marginal enough to where Ball doesn't make a decision based on the number figure. Right, he'll make it based on which program he wants to be at. So that's where he's sort of split in my mind is he loves Florida. That's very clear based on what he's been saying. But he also loves Jabbar Jalouk. And that familiarity, that new coaching staff. That familiarity in coaching staff because Gators don't have a running back coach yet. So that's a big question mark there. I think Summerall was supposed to meet with him after their playoff game on Saturday, so we'll see how that goes. But Jaden Ball, he is a massive guy to retain for Summerall and the Gators. If they don't, though, we all know what kind of player he is. We know what kind of guy Texas is getting. Georgia and Ohio State, I think we're also in on him, but it does feel like it's between Texas and Florida at this point. So we'll see what Jaden Ball does. And then just to wrap this video up, just some updates on the 4 big quarterbacks who are in the portal, what we're hearing about them, schools to watch for, things like that. So we'll stay in Gainesville. Start with DJ Lagway. It seems like it's Baylor, LSU, and Miami. Those are really the top 3. But then Louisville kind of emerged as a contender. They really inserted themselves in there. So it seems like I don't know which school Miami ends up, which quarterback Miami ends up getting. For some reason, I don't really see Lagway to Miami. And my gut says Lagway should go to LSU, but I wouldn't be surprised if he goes to Baylor. Louisville's a weird fit for me. So I would predict Lagway goes to Baylor, but if I were Lagway, I'd be doing everything I could to try to get to LSU. Moving on to Dylan Raiola. Similar pool. Louisville put themselves in the running for Raiola. That could make sense to me. Arizona State is in there for Raiola, and maybe Oregon. Oregon right now is really focused on their playoff run and retaining Dante Moore to be their quarterback. So obviously, Raiola, or I believe Levitt. Yeah, Levitt's also got Oregon in there. They're not going to go to Eugene if Dante Moore is still there. So a lot of it will, based on what Dante Moore does after Oregon season. So we'll see how that plays out. Brendan Sorsby. He's got Texas Tech in the mix. He's got Indiana in the mix. And also Tennessee is starting to emerge as a contender for Sorsby, who will also be sort of testing the NFL draft waters. I think he's going to come back. My gut says Texas Tech there. And then Sam Levitt. Oregon, Indiana, and LSU seem to be the front 3 for him right now. Miami's in there, but On3 was reporting that those 3, Oregon, Indiana, and LSU, are kind of starting to emerge as the favorites. So same sort with Oregon as it was with Raiola. What does Dante Moore do? Indiana will probably just go with Sorsby or Levitt, whichever they can get. But Levitt at LSU kind of makes sense. Though it feels like their personality between Levitt and just the character of LSU do kind of match up pretty well. So we'll see what they do. But that's it for this one. Just another quick hitting little transfer portal update for you guys as the portal keeps filling out, as we keep getting players in, and as we keep seeing decisions get made. It will be all over my Twitter. I'll be all over it as fast as I possibly can, which is pretty fast. I'm going to give myself credit for being pretty much on top of all this news that's breaking. So if you want to see that, it's at W Thomas Sports on Twitter. And if you just want to keep seeing these videos, seeing all these updates, some more game previews, all that stuff, then subscribe to the channel. I appreciate you guys watching this episode of Tailgate Talk SEC so much. I have been Will Thomas, and I will see you next time.